Well, thank you for joining us. We had a nice opportunity to connect with some of our panelists already. Nice. My name is Jasmine Rosario. I am one of the Senior Assistant Directors of Admission in the Office of Admission. So if you have any questions just about the admission process or your majors, I know a lot of students decide to change their major eventually, what that process is like, feel free to ask me. But I am not going to take up this presentation because you are here to hear from our students. So we have our undergraduate students who are attending. They're going to tell you a little bit about their experiences. I have some questions that are just canned questions, and then if you have any questions you want to ask them about what it's like to be a student here, feel free to ask. So from there, I'll have everyone just introduce themselves and tell us what you do, who you are.
Okay. Hi. I don't need this. But my name is Mahi. I'm a computer science and psychology double major, and I'm a junior. I'm from India, so I'm an international student. And on campus, I'm a tour guide, which is my part-time job, and that's the reason I'm able to be here and talk to you guys today. But apart from that, I'm also involved in a few different clubs and organizations on campus, like Developers Club, where I do coding projects with friends outside of academics, kind of get that extra experience, as well as I'm a research assistant in a research lab in the psychology department. So that is also another experience where I'm able to apply my skills. And I'm also an undergraduate course assistant for computer science courses, so I help students who are taking the courses that I've already taken before with the material, kind of go over stuff in office hours and stuff like that. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to pass it on to Bio.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianna. I am a sophomore. I'm a double major in marketing and communications with a minor in psychology. I'm also from Nigeria, so I'm also an international. I'm from Nigeria and I'm also an international student. On campus, I work with Apple, so my job is to give weekly workshops on the new devices that come out, and I partner with organizations for different events that they have. I'm a part of the planning committee for the Women of Isomer conference. It's a conference that happens every single year, and what we do is we draw in sponsors and students and alumni to come together to connect and see future roles that they could have. I am a peer advisor in Isomer also, so my job is to help students in Isomer with their credits and their classes, and I'm the PR coordinator for one of my clubs, So TV, so I'm in charge of the Instagram and all the graphics that we put out, and I'm also the merch coordinator and a writer for her campus.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaliyah. I'm a senior here at UMass, majoring in computer engineering with a minor in IT. Locally, I'm an in-state student, so I'm from the area, about an hour and 15 minutes away from campus. I'm also a first-generation and transfer student, so I transferred here after my freshman year. But on campus, I'm super involved. I'm the president of the National Society of Black Engineers, and I also have a few jobs on campus. So I have an RA in Southwest. I work downstairs at the front desk in the student union. I also work in the Source, which is also downstairs. I also work at admissions, so I get to be here and talk to you guys. And then I'm good at my last job, but besides the point. I also have done a few internships as well with Delta Technologies. In the summer, I'm going to be working with Amazon, so if you have any questions about that, they all opportunities I got for UMass. But yeah, so I see you guys.
Hi guys, I'm Sally. I'm currently a senior studying astronomy and physics with a minor in economics here at UMass. I'm also from Massachusetts. I live right in the greater Boston area in a small town named Chelsea. Right now, I'm obviously in this position as an admissions diversity fellow, which allows me to see all your beautiful faces here today. Another way the school pays me is through my residence assistant's job up in Baker, and then I'm also getting paid for research. Research takes a lot of my free time, but when I'm not doing either of those three jobs, I'm working with women and gender minorities in physics, which is just a small group to make sure gender minorities are heard in physics, and yeah, that's about me. I'll pass it on. Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Brianna. Feel free to call me Bree. I'm a junior double major with marketing and sport management, as well as a minor in African American studies. I get to be a tour guide and give tours throughout the day and sometimes the weekends really early in the morning. But aside from that, I also am a resident assistant, so I've got a couple RAs up here in Orchard Hill, so I walk up a big hill every day just to help my community get accustomed to living up there. I also am the president of Women's Sport Management here at UMass, so I help different women have important conversations about a male-dominated industry and really help them find opportunities as well. I also was a live video production assistant my freshman year, so I wasn't really good at it, but I needed a job, so I was like filming basketball games, things like that. And then I ended up getting an internship my freshman year as a social media intern for Broden Student on my team Harvard. So they're kind of where they do COVID testing and things like that. I got to work for their team. And then this past summer I worked for XL Sport Management, which is an agency in New York. I got to help virtually NBA players and MLB players with their off-court marketing activities. But I'll pass it to Phil now.
Yeah, hi guys. Hello. Hi, my name is Phil. I'm a senior here this year, but I'm not graduating because I screwed up a lot of math classes when I was a math major. Failed 5 of them, so I have to do a 5th year. But I'm okay with that. 1 more year of college is I'm happy about that. I'm now a geography major. I have a minor in education as well. I work as a tour guide, like a couple of us up here. I also work as a transfer student ambassador, so I am a transfer student. I came here the spring semester of my freshman year, so I do that to help new students, new transfer students adjust to campus. I'm a part of the outing club, so we get to take a bunch of cool trips around Western Mass, hiking, kayaking, rock climbing, things like that. Sort of on the club tennis team, not actually good enough to make the real team, so I am on the B team. We get kicked off to the side, us scrubs. We play like 3 times a year, so it's not ideal, but it's still fun. And I also did recently just join the geography club. Haven't gone to any of the meetings yet, but I'm assuming that we're going to be looking at like all the maps. So I like maps, so that's cool with me. But yeah, that's all for me.
Thank you so much. You all are busy. You have a lot of like majors, more than one, and then you do a lot of things. Can you tell us a little bit about just how UMass helps support you find jobs on campus, help you with your post-grad journey for career development, all of that type of thing?
Of course. So I feel like UMass is very, very good in providing opportunities for students in terms of like jobs while they're here and also after. So first I'll talk a little bit about while you're here. There's so many part-time jobs on campus. There's like student jobs in every single building, in every single department. So obviously admissions has so many student jobs, but also residential life, dining halls, every single academic building has like student staff. And then you can also do more like academic related stuff, so like teaching assistants, undergraduate course assistants, stuff like that. So there's literally a job opportunity in anything and everything that you could be interested in. So obviously you can also do it just to make money while you're a student, but also it could be something that you can add onto your resume and show as experience related to your major. So that's really cool. And then for after graduation, we have a bunch of different levels of career service offices that help in kind of preparing you for the world after the 4 years of college. So we have 2 different levels. So the first level is like the overarching university level of career office, and that kind of supports a student like well-roundedly. So they have mock interview sessions, cover letter and resume reviews. You can like walk in there with an outfit that you want to wear for the interview, and they'll be like, yeah, that looks good, or no, maybe you should like make it a little bit more formal. So they're like really, really helpful in all those like general ways, but then also every single college has their own career service center. So for me, computer science, we have a technical portion of the interview where we're actually asked to like code something for a specific question. And that's not like other colleges. So it's really nice to have a specific career service office where you can go in. For my internship, so I'm interning at Pegasystems this summer, and I was able to find that internship on Handshake. So Handshake is an online platform, kind of like LinkedIn, but just for internships for students. So companies post internship postings that are specifically for undergraduate students. So I found my internship there, applied. Once I got an offer to interview with them, I went into the career service office, and I was like, hey, I have an interview at this company. I don't really, I want to get this internship, so can you please help me? And they really just gave me this huge packet of questions that are asked in interviews like that, and then the advisor had someone who had already interned at Pegasystems, so he was able to give me really, really in-depth information about the questions that are asked. And so I was able to bag that interview, and I got the internship, and I really think that the Career Center was a really huge part in that. So the career service offices are actually amazing. They also do resume checks. So I remember my friend and I, we were so scared because coming into freshman year, I had a very, very bad resume. It had 2 things on it. It was just mostly just color and blank spaces. But I walked into the career service center, and they were able to give me so many tips of how you can take really little things and kind of make them huge things and really add on to kind of show the real skills that you learn from it, instead of just being like, oh, I was a server at a dining hall. You can really show so many more skills that you've learned, and they know how to really do that, so they can help you out. So that's a little bit about career services. If there's anything anyone else wants to add.
That was very thorough, thank you. I'm gonna actually skip over the second one and come back to that, because I feel like these kind of go hand in hand, about developing leadership skills. So just beyond like getting a job, you know, you may be involved in, a lot of you said you were president of something, right? Or on the e-board or something. So how are the different ways that you're building your leadership skills while you're here?
Yeah, I can start this one off. I think for me, like, my first year, I'm a transfer student, but I transferred after my freshman year. I was extremely shy. But I think for me, when I came to UMass, because it's a big school, for me, it was a chance to kind of really get out of my comfort zone. So immediately, I knew I wanted to be a part of clubs and like find things I was interested in. So I think for me, it was getting out of my comfort zone and pushing myself and like, hey, I want to get more involved. I want to be in leadership. And that's kind of how it started to kind of be more involved and get into different clubs and stuff like that. So I think definitely, if I can give like one piece of advice, is just like get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Don't be shy. It's like coming into UMass, like no one really knows you, so it's like you're really able to kind of explore the different things that you do and don't like, and that's the beauty of it all. Kind of 3 years here now, both virtual and in person. It's really cool to kind of see where things started and see where you are now. So it's really good to just get out there and get involved, but also be able to discover yourself too.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. Like, I think I really just got into a lot of leadership positions because of just things kind of fell in my lap. Like, I remember being a freshman here, and you know, it was as small as me joining like the programming board, which is like a very like, it's not even in the elective board of like your house council, and I joined the programming board, and somehow like by the end of that year, I was governor of that area. So it was just kind of like, I just joined an organization not really thinking anything of it, and then like I advanced just because I was there, I was active, and like people wanted to see me succeed. I think it's really about like, this can go about like just success building in general. Like if you have like a small team behind you, like if you put in the effort and the work, like people are going to put you on that pedestal and make sure that you're, you know, getting your flowers. And I think that's very common, like with how I got into lab. Like it was as simple as me talking to my lab professor and being like, hey, I think what you're doing is really cool, and then like, you know, we were able to get myself in that lab by the end of that conversation. It's just kind of like, if you show interest, there are so many opportunities here at UMass that you could like literally get into anything.
They killed that.
I feel that. So Sally, I'm gonna have you keep going, because you told us a little bit about, you said you do research here, right?
Yeah.
And some of you also may do that as well, so chime in. But tell us a little bit about what you do for research and how you even got a research project.
Yeah, so as I said, I like, the first time I got research, I was sitting next to my professor and she was coding on her laptop, and I was like, oh, I used to do Python, like, you know, some time back. And we just started talking about Python and how she uses it for her lab. And then by the end of that conversation, she was like, hey, like, if you want, I can teach you about biophysics. You can come to a week, like, before break starts, I'll teach you about biophysics. And then in the summer, I could get you a position with me. You'll live at UMass for free. I'll pay you $3,600, stay 6 weeks. Like, something as casual as that, like me just going into a conversation, you know what I mean? And it's always just about like, as long as you can build relationships with your professors. I'm not saying you have to build relationships with the professor you want research with, like any sort of professor, because my kind of goal is like, if you have like a cheerleading squad behind you, if you have someone who's seen your resume or know what you're capable of, they're able to then like talk you up to different people, if that makes sense. So I think that was kind of like how I got lucky with that first research. And I stayed into that until like COVID hit, and then everything kind of got messy, so I was just focusing on myself for a while. But then the way I got into research again was as simple as like me emailing, you know, the CNS Success Center, which is run by Linda, and I was like, I want to be in somewhere, I want to start doing research again, but more importantly, I need to get paid for research. I need money in order to support myself through school. And I was introduced to this opportunity called LESIP, which also pays you to stay on campus over the summer and do research. And it was like just as simple as like sending out an email and being like, what are the opportunities for research to my College of Natural Science like Success Center? And they were able to provide me with those resources. It's also like, there's so many small things you can do here that like a lot of people don't know about, but you knowing about it makes a difference. Like I'm also a part of this organization called LCM. I can't give you what the actual, it's just a blanking on me, and I don't want to mess it up. But it's also, and that pays me to do research. It's also like a career network and service. So like, I'm not only going to workshops through that thing, but they're signing me up for conferences. I'm being paid hourly to do research. Like, it's a really like amazing opportunity because UMass just has so much funds for research at the end of the day that like, you can ask a random professor and they will probably provide you with a research opportunity. But you can also go through your college, your college's success center, and those opportunities will be right there for you as well. Anybody else wants to talk about research?
Good job. All right, before we move on to these additional questions, because we're a small group, do any of you have anything you want to ask our students? No, I don't want to put you on the spot. All right, we'll keep going. So tell us a little bit about what you all do outside of academics, because you don't come here just to be in classes all day. You have a very full schedule. Tell us a little bit about your extracurriculars and how you access them.
Yeah, studying outside of academics, my favorite thing. I really enjoy just exploring my culture and my identity. So, like I said, I'm an African minor and I went to literally a taco night for like the undergrad council last Thursday. And there's nothing I want to do on Thursday other than have tacos. So like there'll be little events going on. I think one time we had alligators in the student union before. Like I've never seen alligators before, but that was like really cool. So there's always like weekly things like going around campus, and it's almost like, I don't know if you guys remember like the choose your own adventure books, like when we were younger. It's literally like that, like you choose your own adventure. So whether that's going to like a religious organization, or if it's being part of a cultural club, or even if I think of like a lettuce head eating club, like things like that. And I think it's like the president is like whoever eats the lettuce head the fastest. Like very interesting. But I really enjoy just also like exploring off campus a little bit. Like I always go like to Northampton with some friends. There's like this really good like nitrogen ice cream that we always get that's like really bougie for no reason. But I really enjoy just exploring being like a college student. Like academics sometimes is just so overwhelming that like you forget like we're still people. Like you still deserve to like have a weekend off and things like that. So I always just enjoy like doing these little club activities that aren't just like guest speaker meetings, but almost like bonding meetings, like being and was like president of this women's sport management club. Like we do different things where we have like a game night, a paint night, like my favorite thing. And all these events are always going on campus, as well as off campus. Like I went to a carnival in Springfield in the fall. But yeah, just exploring the area. It almost seems like I said, I'm from Southeast Mass, but also like Boston area, so I'm east of the city. So I'm like, where are we right now? But when you start exploring, you realize that there's more to it. And it's just like something new every day. Like there's some things I haven't tried, and I'm like a junior now, so I'm just like I'm running out of time. So there's always something new to kind of step into and branch out into. But
So my favorite things to do when I'm not studying or in class, I love the hockey games. I think everyone here loves the hockey team. We won the national championship last year. Definitely a hockey school. I think right now we're ranked number 8 in the country. The games are super fun to go to. You get in for free. Get into all events on campus for free. Like all the events that we've talked about so far, guest speaker things, all that stuff is all free for students. But yeah, definitely the hockey games. They start at 6 on Fridays, but I'll line up at like 3 in the afternoon to get a good seat. Just stand in line for like 3 hours with my friends. They bring around like pizza and like different things for you to do and stuff like that. But besides the hockey games, I'm a big hiker. Like I said, I'm in the outing club, so I love going out and just like walking in the woods and things like that. Obviously out here in Western Mass, there's no huge mountains. It's the Berkshires, they're pretty much just like little hills. But there's still tons of just like great like walking trails, things like that. I go kayaking all the time in the summer. So whether it's with the outing club or just by myself and some friends just going out, there's just tons of things to do out here. It's a beautiful area. Whether you do like hiking and like things like that, or you absolutely hate it, you can still go just like try it out, see how it goes. I have some friends that are from the city, and they're like, I've never gone hiking in my life. Like I've walked around the park in the middle of the city. I take them out for a hike and they absolutely love it. We go like all the time. So just a bunch of different things to do. Anyone else wants to jump in with their favorite stuff?
I will say for you, beyond just the extracurriculars, students can also study at other schools in this area, right? Can you talk a little bit about like what happens on campus?
Yeah, that is such an amazing opportunity. I always kind of forget that like UMass is kind of like this really exceptional when it comes to different opportunities. I believe it was my junior year where I started studying at Smith College at SPED. I just wanted to try out like different astronomy things, and nobody really knows about the astronomy observation tower here, and that's not a big deal, but it's kind of broken down, and we don't have the key. There's things and complications that we can't really like use that tower anymore, and I really wanted to get more into observational work. And I remember just sitting down with my advisor, and he was like, oh, just go to Smith College. And I was like, that's simple. And it was literally me signing off a paper, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna study at Smith College, you're gonna do one class there. As a UMass student, and it was an observational class, and it was just super cool because I got to like, I didn't get to go into Smith College because sadly it was like during COVID season, so everything was online, but I was like, you know, really excited into like everything that was happening in that observatory, and we got to like, you know, observe our own things like just through remote control on Zoom. It was like such an enlightening experience. And then next semester, I got to take the assistant class with that original observation class, which is just we're meant to go to New Mexico, but once again COVID, so I didn't get to go to New Mexico, bummer. But it was really amazing because it was like now I was doing my own independent research, and they let us use telescopes in New Mexico. Like we were remote controlling these telescopes. And it was like such an amazing opportunity because I would have never been able to like operate a telescope on my own, or like, you know, just in general, like I've never really been inside a big telescope, and it was like such a cool and enlightening experience. But with the 5-college consortium, that's possible, and you know, you can study, as I said, at Smith or Amherst College, you can also study at Hampshire College, you can study at Mount Holyoke, and then you can study, oh my gosh, what am I missing?
This is the
Oh, you have yeah, I was like, college. Yeah, but yeah, it's like an amazing experience. It's literally as simple as like telling your advisor you want to study somewhere while you're enrolling in classes, and then you sign a simple sheet of paper, and then you're enrolled in that college. So it's a really amazing experience.
2 classes per semester, right?
2 classes per semester, yeah.
No additional fee. 5 colleges for the price of 1. That's a great thing. And those are all private schools, right? So you have the small private New England feel, and then
Oh, yeah.
public research. You kind of have a balance of different environments.
Both of my classes, I think they were, one class was like 9 people, and the other one was, I think, 8 people. So it was like such a, like, I'm not saying, you know, my UMass classes are so big, but I take physics classes and astronomy classes that are usually like 20 to 60 to 70 people. So it's like, I'm used to like a bigger crowd, so just being able to get that like really like, you know, like in-depth experience with my professor, like them being able to like just put me as like in a breakout room and we can talk for hours about this one subject without them having to worry about like, I have 60 other students in a row. It was like super amazing. And the professors there are also really good.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to direct this question to Phil. A little bit about, because you transferred in, actually Leah did too, but this is more about just like selecting majors, switching, moving around, changing your mind a million times. And you started off telling us about your math, your love of math.
Yeah, so I used to have a love of math. I wanted to be a high school math teacher, that was my goal, so I came in as math education. I was in the teaching track of the math department, and was doing okay. Got to Calc 2, didn't do so hot, did Calc 2 again, did better. Calc 3 was the same, abstract algebra was the same, math theory was the same, computer science was the same. So I ended up failing a lot of classes. Really, really tough. Some of the help that I got with those classes, I eventually, after failing, I think it was 4 classes, I went to office hours, I went and I talked to the professor. I don't know why I didn't do that the first couple of times, but I kind of felt like, oh no, I can do it myself. I couldn't. So, you know, if you are struggling in your class, there is help for you, go reach out, there's tons of help available for you. However, if you then do want to change your major, definitely doable. I'd say like, I don't know what the actual percentage, but it seems like 80% of the students here change their major at least one time. It's very, very normal to do. But I had to change my major, so I just met with my math advisor, told him I didn't want to be a math major anymore. He told me that was a good idea. And then he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know, geography seems cool. I like math, I like the world. So he got me in contact with the geography advisor, talked to him for maybe 5 minutes, realized I wanted to be a geography major. He switched me into geography officially. I was now a geography major. And then for the next 20 minutes of the Zoom, we just talked about UMass hockey winning the national championship. So it was super, super easy to change your major. There are a couple of majors where you can't switch into. Nursing being one, that's kind of universal. Like if you're going for nursing, you have to go there right away. And then also Eisenberg. You can't, actually you can, no you can't. You can't switch your major to Eisenberg. So, but if it's any of the other majors, totally fine, definitely doable, really, really easy to do. And yeah, I mean, there is help along the way through every single thing you do. Obviously, you get an academic advisor when you first get here, and then if you switch your major, you're going to get a different academic advisor. So I just go to him for all my issues. He's a really cool guy. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Did all of you come in directly into the major that you're in, or did you have to switch into the major?
So I was actually in the exploratory track for Eisenberg, so I came in knowing I wanted to do marketing, but just wanted to get an overview of it. So I was in a rap class. It was actually a diversity class, so I got to live with people on my floor of different backgrounds, and we all kind of explored the majors in Eisenberg. So I remember people from BY for accounting would come in, get to learn about accounting, and I knew very early that I hated accounting and that wasn't for me. But we would get to meet people in different departments, and I was able just to not only confirm that I love marketing, but that's also kind of how I discovered sport, that I could actually make a real thing and then double major with it. So, and then I also, like, really along the way, when I was picking my classes with that advisor, he was like, oh, take the class Harlem Renaissance for your, for like your requirement, like, it's really interesting. And then that's how I ended up finding my minor as well. But yeah, the switching majors thing is like really big, or also just like finding a second major. You don't have to double major, like there's nothing you're missing out on. For me, I just noticed like a lot of the requirements were the same, but I feel like a lot of people will just either discover more or change their mind, and you have a lot of time to do that as well.
Sometimes those requirements are taking the classes anyway. You don't even know you had them either. So it's kind of easy to add on. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely one thing I think that really helped me like set my path here was that I like immediately, like once I figured out I wanted to do a minor, and once I figured out I wanted a second major, I started just looking at like, you can Google something as simple as like astronomy and physics or astronomy and biology track in UMass, and they'll like literally list all the classes you have to take out, and then you'll be able to like really be like, can I do this? Do I want to take quantum physics? Like, is that me? You know what I mean? And you'll really be able to just digest like, do I, like, is this a path I can take? Did I already take some of these classes? Do I not want to take any of these classes? And it's really just easy from there to be able to like actually see your track before you commit to it.
Okay, cool. Let's switch gears a little bit, because this is a primarily residential school, right? Like, we're not a big commuter school, and those who are commuting are probably not coming from very far away. We have some designated off-campus areas as well. So tell us about living on campus, selecting your housing, how did you pick your roommates, just like where should they live and why? Whatever you want to share about living on campus.
Okay, so where should you live? As a first year student, you're able to live in 5 residential areas, so that's Southwest, Orchid Hill, Northeast, Honors, and Central. On my tours, I like to give like a quick overview about every place, but I'm going to do that really quick right now. So Southwest is our biggest residential area. It houses about 4,000 students from campus. It's a very busy place to live. I always like to say it's like a city in itself. So if you're into like a lot of music, a lot of, I'd say, clash of cultures, and a lot of people, I'd say Southwest could potentially be for you. You have Orchid Hill, by the name it is located on a hill. We like to say that if you want to build like a really strong house, and you can live in Orchid Hill, but if you're not into going up and down a hill, then maybe it's not for you. Northeast is majority of the students living in Northeast are STEM students, so we always like to say that if you're a STEM major and you just want to not have to walk about 10 or 6 minutes to your labs or your classes, then you can decide to live in Northeast because it's like a 2-minute or 3-minute walk to your labs and classes. Central, by the name, is in the center of campus. It does have our LGBTQIA spectrum of...
What? Continue.
It has our LGBTQIA spectrum of students, so if you identify in that community, we always advise or tell you that you can live there if you choose to. And then we have honors. To live in honors, you have to be an honor student, and you're automatically reviewed for the honors college once you apply to UMass. So if you do not get into the honors when you first apply, you can always transfer in as early as your first semester. Majority of the students in the honors college right now actually transferred in after they got to UMass, so you're okay if you don't get in right away. But when it comes to picking your housing, when you do get accepted into UMass and you pay your deposit, they give you like this website to go to where you rank your preferred living spaces. So for example, I said my first option would be Southwest, my second would be Northeast, my third would be Central. We always say 95% of the time you will get your first choice, but if you do not get your first choice, 100% of the time you will get your second choice. We've never heard of someone actually getting your third choice, so it's either your first or your second, so we always advise that you take your time to look at every single residential area and make sure that you can actually see yourself living in the first or second option. When it comes to finding roommates, we are also, there are 3 ways to find roommates here on campus. The first way is to go random. We like to say that's the easiest way, but the thing, we don't just like throw you with a random person. There is this form that you normally fill, and it's like, are you a morning person? Do you like to listen to music as you study? Do you like people coming into your rooms? It really does depend on you, and you answer that truthfully and as honest as you possibly can. And then UMass gives you, I'd say, the almost perfect person to live with you. But what if you don't come on campus and you see a roommate that UMass has given you and you're not comfortable with that? You 100% understand. You can always switch out of your room or choose to live in another residential area. So it hardly happens, but it does happen sometimes. So you do have the free will to say that you're not comfortable in your living space and you want to leave. The second way would be a mutual request. So if you're coming from like a secondary school or a high school and you have a friend and both of you are both committed to UMass, you can decide to room with each other. So I'd say, hi, my name is Spire, this is my Spire ID. I want to room with Mahi, this is Mahi's Spire ID, and Mahi will do the same. Just make sure that it's a mutual thing between both of you that you actually want to live together. The third way would be through a Facebook group chat. So I'm the class of 24, so you're the class of 22, 23. That's actually how I found my roommate. So how it works is you go into the Facebook group chat, and the only students in that group chat are students that have been admitted into UMass and have committed to UMass. So that's really helpful. And you go in and you just introduce yourself. So I was like, hi, my name is Spire, I like this, I like that, this is where I want to live, this is my major. And I had a girl message me and we just clicked, and today she's my roommate and we're going to move into a house together in a few years. So I would say that 100% works. And the last extra option we always want to talk about is a RAP. So RAP is a residential academic program. I was in a RAP in my first year. I was in PI, it's Partners in Education, and it's basically a RAP that promotes diversity in business. And how it works with RAPs is that everyone in a RAP lives on the same floor, and you all take one class together, and that class would always be in your residential hall. So it was as easy as me getting out of bed at like 9:45 a.m. to my 10 a.m. class. Just walk down the stairs, and I was already like 5 minutes early before it started. So it's really, really nice to know that you can just like walk downstairs for your class, and everyone living on your floor is in the same class. So when it comes to homework, study sessions, you always know who I can literally go to the room next to me, knock on her door, and then you could form a study group or just do homework together. So it's a really great way to meet people. It's a really great way to form your first community when you come on campus, and a way to just get credits and live in your hall and have a class downstairs. So yeah, that's a lot of information. But
I think you've covered it.
yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, this is for everyone. Do you feel supported as a student here of varying identities? You're representing various identities. If so, in what ways? And what do you think that UMass can maybe do better, or what would you like to see more of here on our campus?
Yeah, I feel like because we do have such a big campus, there's a lot of different resources on campus. And like personally, when I came in, I wanted to make sure that I stayed in touch with my culture. Being so far away from home, I wanted to make sure that I was still, celebrating all the festivals and still meeting all the people and speaking my language. And it was not hard at all to find that for me. It was, really as simple as going to the activities expo where all the clubs are, tabling and sharing what their club is about, and finding clubs that kind of spoke to me, finding people that were similar in background to me. And also that's like on a student level, so like students run those organizations, but then also on the UMass level where we have like professional staff running like centers. We have like cultural centers here, and they run programming. So and we also have like Center for Women in Community. That's a really, really cool center. They do this programming thing that I learned about like a month ago, and I'm gonna do it next year. I already signed up for it. It's basically where they pair you with another woman who is in the same field as you, but already in the industry, working in the industry. And they try to match you to someone who's the closest to you in identity and background. So in my case, she is a really, really strong brown woman who's working in the tech industry, has achieved so much. She's doing great things, and I'm gonna be able to like talk to her, and she'll be like my mentor, which is so cool. She'll be able to like show me different opportunities in the tech industry, stuff that's like not really shown in like college, stuff you can only learn if you're actually in the industry. So I feel like little things like that resources UMass provides are so important. And that's a really, really big support pillar, in my opinion. Obviously, there's so many things that UMass can improve on, and like every single day, we're like hopefully trying to get closer to that. But I think that for me personally, I think the student body is what makes UMass such a great place. We're all so supportive to each other. Whenever there's something that happens on campus where there is a need for voice and change, the student body is always up and ready. Recently there was like huge protests on campus for really, really good change to happen. And you could just see everyone after class, at night, just like standing up for what they believe in and sharing stories with each other. And it was just so nice and so lovely. It was like an eye-opening experience. So I feel like that is really kind of what college is about, and like experiencing those things and getting support from your peers, whether that's, someone who's like trained professionally to support you versus someone who's just going through the same things as you or has gone through the same things as you. I think that you can find that at different levels here. So.
For me, I have felt supported, but the one I always talk about is the food. So last 2 semesters ago, I had my mom call me, and she was like, UMass told her to send them a recipe. And I was like, why would they need a recipe from me? That's very weird. And then 2 weeks after, I walk into the dining room and I see that there's like West African stew, and I'm really, really surprised. I've never seen it since I came. So I called all my Nigerian friends, and then we all came together. We got like a really big table, and we all ate it. I always say, it didn't taste the same, but I think it's the thought that 100% counted. I think UMass is starting to recognize more that they have a lot of students from different backgrounds, from different countries, different cultures, and they're trying their best to cater to as many cultures as they possibly can. I think we have great Mediterranean food, great Asian food, Asian cuisine. It's really, really good. So I think it's nice to make sure a lot of the students here on campus are represented in some way, whether it's like their food or like their dressing or their parties, just something different to bring to the table, which is really great. When it comes to, I think UMass can do a lot of things better. We're definitely not a perfect school, but I would say when it comes to something we can improve on, I'd say our response to some situations that happen within like the student body or within students. I think we have a very slow response rate when it comes to calling things out and saying this is wrong and this person should get a certain punishment. So we're very slow on that end. So I'd say if we could quicken the process of actually releasing statements and helping those affected, that would be great.
I also agree about the terms of like response time of the university, but I'll say like for me, like I transferred from a very like small school, but now being at a big school, I feel hear this a lot. They often say you can make a big school feel small, but you can't make a small school feel big. And I think for me, coming to UMass, I was really able to find kind of like my group of people and then who look like me and like have similar interests as me. And also that was really hard for me. And I think from the past like 3 years being here, being able to like be around people who like look at me and like have different cultures and like share my culture as well has been really big for me. But also being able to have supporting like faculty and staff and like kind of helping navigate kind of the process of figuring yourself out in college too.
Yeah, I think to be really honest, like when I first started my career at UMass, it was really hard to feel any sort of support. I was I was the only Black girl in all my classes, and then like I was the only Latin girl basically in existence sometimes. And it just felt very lonely when I first got here, and it was just really rough for me to like acclimate to everything that was happening. And like it was a huge culture shock because I come from Chelsea, Mass, and that is like a diverse place, and then coming here and people telling me, oh, UMass is so diverse. I'm like, huh? Where? So it was like really hard for me just to transition. And I think, I agree with what both Bio and Amir said, like the response time sometimes, like will get me more aggravated than the actual like incident, because it's like, how are you taking so long, or like, why is the student body not as involved in your process, or why aren't you being as transparent? And there's a lot of things I could say about UMass in like terms of that. But I think, one thing I can always stand behind is like the student body. As she said earlier, the student body is like probably one of the most amazing people. Like people will stand up for you if you're an individual like dream in like whatever you believe in, and there's people who like once they see wrong, they will call it out like before you can even register it in your mind. And there is a student body who is out here trying to protect you and like be your safe space rather than like prevent you from having one. So go to students and need some work.
Very true. So I'll start from the ways I feel supported. Definitely faculty and staff. Like, I feel like even our tour guide boss, like, a lot of things were going on. Like, I always felt like she left her door open for conversation, and that's something that you can't find everywhere. Like, sometimes it's just like it is what it is. But she always has the door open for conversation. Same thing with my professors. I really felt myself like we didn't just have to talk about academics. Like, we could talk about the real world stuff going on. So that's how I felt supported, and I feel like that's something, even I'm very introverted, you can't tell because I'm up here talking, but I think like we're very good about like, are you okay? Like, I feel like I was able to establish that connection with them. In terms of improving, I think the way UMass executes diversity. So like having, kind of like, this is very important, but also like making sure hiring professors of color who are women, like, being a sport major, I'm usually the only woman of color in my class, and then I'm usually 1 in 5 women in my class. So also making sure, like the pie rap, a very important rap of which students of color and underrepresented backgrounds are like able to get to Eisenberg because maybe they weren't recognized the first time around. So programs like that are really important. So yeah, just the way that it's being executed, but I have to like also echo like the student body, like that's almost the most important part, because to be comforted by your peers is almost like, okay, like I'm like you're seeing this too, I'm seeing this, like, and it's together. So I think just improving on the time, but also just the execution. Like, for example, making sure certain departments are funded, like the Afro department. Like, I feel like that needs more funding, that needs more support. And I kind of see that, like being in Eisenberg, I kind of like see the difference in the two. So I think just the way that we execute diversity can't just be like, we're gonna have conversations, but like we need to put the work behind it as well. So I think that's something I can improve.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo what everyone said about like the student body and how, like, is UMass perfect? No. Or can they handle things better? Absolutely. But just the way that like the students react to issues on campus, I think is very, very powerful. I forget who was talking. I think it was Mahi. He was talking about like the bunch of the protests last year. It was like the students were taking it into our own hands to say like, you know, like this isn't cool on campus. Like this shouldn't happen at our school. Shouldn't happen anywhere, but like it shouldn't happen on our campus. And I think just like seeing everyone kind of come together and like put that out and saying like the students like don't want this to happen. I think that's a really, really cool thing to see. But then also just talk about like the kind of like inclusivity, on campus. There's so I'm gay, and I wasn't out when I came to UMass. I then surrounded myself with just like loving friends and supportive friends, just like a nice community and everything. And eventually got to the point where I was able to come out and, you know, here I am now, you know. But there is just like a loving sense of community on campus and, you know, people that really do care for you. And then there also is the resources that the school provides. I mean, there's the Stonewall Center, which is for students in the LGBTQ+ community. They do great great programming, and they have awesome resources and different like group events that they do. And I think through the work that, like, especially the Stonewall Center does, that has made UMass into one of the most, I forget how they would say it, like pride positive, or we're on like one of the top schools.
Yeah, there's a pride index.
One of the top schools in the pride index, just proving that this is a very inclusive campus for students within that community. So very, very thankful for, you know, the students of campus, absolutely.
Thank you all so much for your insights. So this last 10 minutes is for audience Q&A. But I don't want to put you on the spot. But I know that you might have questions, you know, for our students, or what we can do, you know, if you want to, maybe we can like end it formally, and then if you want to come up and chat with the students, you can do that as well. Or I can send them out and come sit with you and chat. Because there's a lot of things that you might be thinking about as far as like your own personal experience as students here. But thank you so much for your insight. You can maybe say why UMass, like why, you know, you all got into multiple schools. It wasn't just UMass, but you ended up picking us. How come? And then we'll end.
Yeah, I'll start because I'm hogging the mic. Like I said, I transferred here. I toured UMass twice when I was in high school. I did not like it either time. One day I had a headache. It was, I had a headache. It was raining, and I was with a friend that I didn't really love. So I think it was just like a bad day overall, and like any school I toured.
So it's cold and windy.
A lot of construction. Also, it was cold. Yeah. So it was just like overall not a good day. I feel like any school I toured on that day, I probably wouldn't have loved it. So I ended up going to another school in Massachusetts, a small state school, way too small, super, there was like nothing happening on the weekends, big commuter school, 60% of students commuted. Of the 40 living on campus, I feel like 2,000 went home every single weekend, just because they're from the area. I found myself going home all the time, which I did not want because I didn't want to be hanging out with my parents every weekend. They didn't want to see me either, so which was cool. I have older brothers, but they're all out of college now, or they were in college. Anyways, they didn't want to see me.
And an empty nest, and here you come.
Yes. So I went to UMass. Absolutely love my time here and everything because I just wanted to try a big school. I figured if the small school didn't work, let's just give the big school a shot. I forget who said it earlier. But you can make a big school feel small, but you can't make a small school feel big. I went to that small school, I went to that big school, I know how true that is. So just keep that in mind. Big school, there's tons of opportunities and everything, and that's what you're going to find at UMass. It is a little overwhelming at first. Definitely, I feel like the first 2 weeks are terrifying. But once you get involved on campus and start meeting people, forming your group on campus, it gets a lot better, it gets a lot smaller. And then you go to like a hockey or football game and you're like, there's 30,000 people that go here. This is a big school. So yeah, that's what I chose with.
Yeah, for me, UMass is the last thing on my radar. I think I kind of was like, oh, just apply. But almost everyone from my high school was going to UMass. I kind of knew like, oh, it's a state school. It wasn't even my state team. My state team was like a different state school.
That's your thing.
So I ended up just doing a Google search, business schools. And my best friend at the time, well, she's my best friend, but she was like, oh, Eisenberg, great place. I was like, who's Eisenberg? What is that? And I ended up looking into the program a little bit, looking at the alumni network, which is just really, I don't even talk about that, but the alumni network here for UMass is really big. So I ended up looking at the alumni network, and I remember I looked up some classes. I was like, oh, sport marketing, that kind of sounds cool. And I was looking at some of the jet eds, I was like, oh, they sound really cool. But I was like, it's too far away, but I honestly got to talk with my friend who I went, and she was like, oh no, I take the Peter Pan bus home, you can have a car as a freshman. So I never ended up touring. I kind of just decided last minute. It made sense financially, which is important. So for me, I was like, hey, it makes sense financially, and Eisenberg seems like a really good place to go. So I ended up just deciding 3 days before the deadline. I was like, okay, we'll go with this one. But I toured it and I fell in love. I came with my dad and my little brother. And my little brother accepted, and I accepted. So yeah, I really got to just confirm that decision, just looking at the campus and now looking at all the opportunity I have. I honestly can't imagine getting that somewhere else for me.
I think I came to UMass, well, there's a couple of reasons, but I did kind of the whole college process on my own, filling up Commandant, FAFSA, the bills, all of it was me, my parents were there, if they needed to sign something, I was like, oh, we're here. But it was just a really stressful time period for me. I don't think I've ever been that stressed in my life. I hope I've never been that stressed in my life again. But I did basically all of the college experience on my own, and it was just really terrifying. And I remember I went to a small school, I was touring that school, and for some reason I was touring it at nighttime too, I don't really get why. But they invited me.
Winter, sundown at 4.
Yeah. It was so dark there too, because it was in Yeehaw. I mean, not that this isn't Yeehaw, Massachusetts, but it was in Yeehaw, Massachusetts. So it was you could smell the cows, and that was really it. And it was a really small school, and I remember sleeping there, and I was like, I don't want to go here. And then next week, I happened to get into UMass, which is a part of the diversity program. It's a huge event they put on. If you guys happen to have the opportunity, you should come. This invitations will be set out mid-March, and you should come in April. But I came to that event, and I think that was one of the first times throughout my college process where I kind of just kicked my feet up. And I just felt so supported. I was able to talk to people, and they're like, oh, you know what, but the financial aid is mostly done by X, Y, and Z, and if you need help, you should go here. And, they're just giving me so many opportunities of how I could be supported here, and how, I wouldn't have to, if I were to go to the grad school process, which I was thinking about heavily, I was like,
an incoming freshman, they're like, you would not do that alone whatsoever. And as a senior, I can say, look, I did not go through that alone whatsoever. I had such a great support system applying to grad school. So it was just feeling, coming here, doing that overnight program, which was so fun, and being able to experience so many different things from a college student perspective was just amazing. And then that was the nail in the coffin for me to choose my school, was that overnight event and just feeling super supported there.
Thank you. We'll bring the overnight back eventually, but because of certain times, we can't have you all in students' res halls, but eventually, late 2023, not going. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say definitely, Sally, I agree with you. The whole college process, filling everything out, was all on me. For me, when I was in university, I had no intention of staying in Massachusetts. I applied all out of state. I was not trying to stay here. I didn't even apply to UMass until I transferred. I went to a private school. It was very expensive. So when I applied to UMass, I applied to UMass as a transfer. I applied to school in San Diego. And I think for me, genuinely, it was financial aid. I'm also an in-state student. That financially really made a difference paying a private school bill versus an in-state bill. It was a very big difference. And for me, that was a big reason why I came here. But generally, I think for me, transferring was probably the best decision I've made because I've made so many different opportunities, met so many amazing people here. But generally, people here really here to help you. And they'll really go out of their way to see all your potential for what you can do too.
So I think I can agree with a lot. I did not know UMass existed till this day. So in Nigeria, we normally have fairs where international schools come in and talk to us. So one day, I was looking at schools in the UK and Australia and some in the US, but I wasn't really set at a specific school in the US. And then I went to one of the fairs and I saw that UMass had a table, and his name is Mike. I actually work with him right now in the tour guide group, but he was the reason I came to UMass. He was the one that sold UMass to me because I think I was looking for a university where I could be taken serious as a business school student in my first year. So I had some specific goals for myself that I wanted to achieve in my first year. So get an internship, make my resume look good, make my LinkedIn look good, be able to walk into an interview with confidence and come out even more confident than I walked in. So I just had some goals I needed to achieve for myself in my first year, and UMass answered all those questions for me and just helped me achieve all those goals. And I always say if there's one thing UMass is going to give you, it's a lot of opportunities that's left to you to grab as many as you possibly can. So obviously with my parents, they were just looking at the professional part of it. So post-grad, is UMass a good school to come to find a good job after college, how my internship is going to go. And I would say that UMass provides so much and more right now. My mom loves Isenberg. She's never even seen Isenberg. She's never been to Isenberg. She's like, I love Isenberg. She's following the Instagram, the Twitter. She's obsessed with it because she can see what Isenberg has done for me as an individual and how I just keep improving myself professionally and mentally and physically being at UMass. So I would say UMass is going to give you a lot of opportunities, no matter what school and college you are in, or no matter what major you're in. And I think it just falls back to you as an individual to grab as many as you can and just really put yourself out there.
So for me, I was looking at city schools. I wanted to be in the dead center of New York City. I lived in Arizona, I lived in Scottsdale, and as much as people there think it's a city, it's really not a city. You have to take a car everywhere because everything is 20 minutes away. So I wanted to be the city. And so obviously UMass was not on my radar. But my friend went here, and she said that the campus was something that you cannot get in a city school. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to you on that, I'll tour, I'll see how it is, and that's I think the campus just really sold it for me. Just being able to kind of walk to your class, and then also the dining hall, and also the residential areas, and just kind of meet people on the way, see people you know on the way, in the libraries and stuff like that. I feel like you can't get in a city school where all the buildings are so spread out. So that was a big thing. Obviously, scholarship money, financial aid, that didn't hurt. My parents loved that. And the computer science program is really, really good. All the professors were so not only educated, but also had worked in the field before, so they had practical experience that they could share, so that was really, really good. And we're like number 20, like top 20 in like graduate computer science programs, so that definitely reflects over too. So that was like a really big selling factor for me as well. And just like how big the school is, I knew that getting an internship when I'm at UMass would not be hard because it's such a big school. Companies know UMass, companies come to UMass to get students to intern. So I knew that like career fairs and like networking opportunities and the alumni network would be really, really nice to have. And it really has paid off. Like, I connected with someone in the alumni network who works at Facebook, and they are fully like were able to refer me to Facebook, like mentor me through the process, and like help me get winter internship opportunities at Facebook. So, that really pays off. So I think all those things were kind of my deciding factors, and I'm really happy I stuck with it because they did come to like fruition. So yeah, I think those were my reasons.
So it's good to know UMass Amherst was all of your last choice. That's what I took away from your answers. But I'm so happy that you're here now. And that you're enjoying your experience. You're not looking to transfer out, right? Once trying to leave. Good, I graduated from UMass Amherst. So that brings us to 12 o'clock. So that concludes our panel. So thank you for staying and listening to our students. And so if you have any questions, you want to chat, feel free. If not, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You're able to take advantage of some of the other things that are happening today. Go get food at Baby Burke or at our dining commons, something like that. And we hope to see you in the fall. Thank you so much.